Welcome back. Clearly, one of the most shocking moments in Harry and Meghan's Oprah interview was the Duchess' claim that she didn't want to be alive anymore at points during her time as a royal. She also raised concerns that she couldn't get help when she needed it. Let's speak now to the poet and mental health campaigner, Charly Cox. Charly, great to have you on the programme this morning. And I know that you've been thinking and writing about these topics for a while, but particularly in the past 48 hours. Can we just go kind of rewind to the interview itself? When you saw or read that section of the interview in which she spoke of her own mental health struggles, what was your immediate response?
Thank you. Yes, good morning. I would like to think, like the rest of the world, incredibly saddened by it. Only made worse when she said that she was unable to get help. It's proof that the situation, suicidal feelings aren't just from mental illness, but they're from compromised social and environmental factors, whether that's a hostile living environment, whatever that might look like. It could be a palace, it could be, your home with your parents. It really doesn't matter. But where it becomes a problem is if you're being denied the opportunity of help. As we all know, even talking about our mental health is very new. It's also personally incredibly difficult. As someone who has experienced suicidal ideation, as someone who has attempted to take their own life before, I couldn't help but relate to a situation of which I never thought I'd find any parity.
And of course, over the past 24 hours, again, you'll have been keenly aware of this. We've had some high-profile media figures, not just challenging the account that was given by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, but out and out denying it.
Yes, wow. I mean, what a surprise that was. I think it's an incredibly prevalent conversation that we should be having during a week when the nation's children are going back to school. And we've got reports that anxiety and depression amongst young people is at the highest it's ever been due to the pandemic. And to be fronted in the morning with the opinion of disbelief over somebody's mental ill health and somebody's desire to end their life, is that particularly helpful? Probably not. I assume that's why he's no longer there. But not only that, I really fear that the conversations going on in households between parents and between peers at schools talking about whether or not they believe Meghan and what she'd said in her statement, you are actively, by denying belief over that, suggesting that you need proof. Now, we're not stupid. We know what proof looks like in suicidal ideation, and that is ultimately somebody's death. I worry that we're really closing down safe spaces and opportunities to continue this really wonderful conversation about mental health that we all seem so hell-bent on doing, but by promoting the opinion that it's something that you can decide you believe or not, immediately culls any productivity or proactiveness that I hoped we were heading towards.
I don't like to put words into other people's mouths, particularly those who are not on the show or on any show, in fact, this morning. But the argument, such as it was, appeared to be, Prince Harry, like yourself, was a mental health ambassador. He had connections that most people could only dream of. If Meghan needed help, then could Harry not have pointed her in the right direction? I mean, what do you make of that?
Well, as somebody, I'm very lucky. I'm in a privileged position where if I wanted to seek private help, then that is something that I am now fortunately in a position to do so. It's not always been the case, and it's much harder when you're not. But just because you're in a position where you have access to those things, if you're in an environment where you're already fearful of what the connotations of you suggesting that you're experiencing ill mental health, and that was the impression that I got from Meghan, was that it wasn't going to look good if she were to seek help. Now, whilst they were still within that institution, I would assume that she was denied that and didn't have opportunity to. I don't know, but I actually think that part really is irrelevant. We don't know the full story. We don't know the entire story, but it is, the problem is suggesting that it's not true, and suggesting that somebody could have done more. The most that you can do now, having this news and having it unfortunately so public, is to believe the person that is very actually kindly talking about her ill mental health, which I have no doubt should and would help thousands of other people.
Charlie, we're just about to run out of time, but I wonder if we briefly can just touch on the fact that there does appear to be something of a generational divide when it comes to Harry and Meghan. Certainly, younger people seem, in terms of the polling, seem far more positive about their exchanges with Oprah, and particularly on mental health as well. Is it just the case that perhaps young people have grown up in a different world to the one that I grew up in, the one of the stiff upper lip of pulling yourself together and, manning up?
I think that this generation has also been privy to the allegations about Prince Andrew and the Jeffrey Epstein case, and watching the inaction of the royal family, considering the ill mental health of the victims, with the alleged victims and the survivors of that. So actually, I think more pertinently to finish on, I really hope now this is forward and centre, proving that they're not too bothered about their women. Maybe they'll step up and do something.
Let's see. Charly Cox, great to talk to you this morning. Thanks very much for being with us.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Just a reminder that if you have been affected by any of the issues that we were discussing with Charlie, you can contact the Samaritans 24/7. 116 123 is the phone number, the email, joe@samaritans.org. Those details at the bottom of the screen. Time to see how the weather's looking. Here's Nas.